Next up, actually, I guess I could say the next level is a session we're calling Radar. O'Reilly's blog is called Radar, and O'Reilly's business sort of having the radar to see what's coming next. And we have 4 companies making 4 announcements here on stage. They are all made this week. Some of them have been made, some of them are going to be made here, but it's all sort of the moment. So I'm actually not going to run it. They're going to come on one after the other. And I'm going to get a high sign or like a thumbs up through the curtain or something like that telling me everything's cool and we're ready to go. Is there a thumb? Can you like that? Okay, we're ready to go. And you introduce yourself and make your announcement.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Amit Kapoor. I'm the CEO of Gravity. Before starting Gravity, my partners and I were part of the team that started MySpace. And we were fortunate enough to be there very early. And when we joined, we saw the potential that social would have in terms of impacting our lives and hopefully impacting the way that we use the internet. When we left, we saw a new trend emerging. And that new trend is something here I'm here to tell you about today. So today, we live in a world where we're overwhelmed with information. We see 90 million tweets per day, over 35 hours of YouTube video are uploaded every minute, and on average, a user has 130 friends on Facebook whose activity is growing on a daily basis. This concept of information overload isn't something that's a new phenomenon to all of us. In fact, on a very regular basis, new technologies to organize information are competing with new technologies to create and distribute information. So the way that I like to look at things is to look at an information distribution curve. So the larger the volume of information that enters into a system, the lower your signal-to-noise ratio tends to be. So it's harder to find good content. What good technology companies do is they create filters to counter that trend. Early on, we had companies like AOL and Yahoo create directories of links that were professionally curated, and they created these amazing experiences for us to traverse the internet. But very soon, those links were overwhelmed, and new companies, search companies like Google, applied science to all of that data so that we were able to organize it in a new way and find amazing content once again. It worked so well that the entire internet optimized around search engines. But then a new phenomenon happened in 2003, and that's the little one that you see up on the graph. So in 2003, user-generated content entered the internet. So with YouTube, with MySpace, and other sites, that social data, that real-time data, started to overwhelm these existing filters. And so innovative companies created new filters for that content. Companies like Facebook and Twitter and Dig and others said, we're going to help organize information around your friends, around people that you trust. And so today, that's the primary way that we discover content. But many of you, like me, are avid users of social technology, and once again, your social stream, like previous streams and previous filters, are starting to get overwhelmed. So at Gravity, what we believe is that there's a new trend coming, and that trend is about organizing information around you. So like Google did in the past, organized information based on a problem set, a huge data set of links, we do the same thing with social data. We're able to take social data like tweets and friend status updates, likes, and shares and get a holistic understanding of you and your interests. And what we build with that is a product that we call the interest graph. So this is a look at somebody's public interest graph based off public tweets. As you can see, there's a lot of information here. And in our graph database, it's all weighted, and there's all a time trajectory to indicate, is this an interest that's growing? Is it steady? Is it something that's decaying? So what I'm here to announce today is that we're actually launching the first application of that, which is going to give all of you a view of your own interest graphs. So if you have your laptops or your iPhones, you can go ahead and bust them out and go to gravity.com/labs to play a game that we call Twinterest. So Twinterest takes a look, uses natural language processing to analyze your tweets and understand who you are, what are you interested in, and then helps compare you to your friends to understand what do we have in common or which interests do I share with others. One of the main purposes of why we launched Twinterest is that we're actually crowdsourcing the tuning of our algorithms. So as you're in there, please tell us, what is actually your interest or what doesn't seem to fit into a category. The next thing that I actually want to tell you about is a preview of a future application that we're launching. and that's called the orbit. So if you look back at that trend of information that I showed you before, in the past you were searching for information in the first framework of the web. The second framework, you hoped that people would share it with you. In this third framework of your web, we're actually going to be able to present the right information to you based on your interests. And so that's the point of the orbit. So here I have my front page, which is the very best content, videos, websites, whatever it is, being shared across the social web, personalized to me. And as I use it, the whole system gets tuned. It's kind of like how Pandora shaped music from being originally editorialized by DJs to being shared with your friends on playlists and MySpace Music to ultimately the actual information and being organized around you and the right information being targeted to you. We also have a feature called Smart Share where we can identify which of your friends do we believe has an overlapping interest with a story that you're reading so that you share it intelligently instead of broadcasting it to all of your Twitter followers or all of your Facebook friends. One of the key things that I want to get across is that these are actually only very quick applications built on top of a platform that very soon we're going to allow any third party to tap into via our APIs and personalize their own sites and experiences. In time, our goal is that a few years from now, we hope that you look back at the web and say, you can't even imagine a time where everywhere you go, every website isn't in some way personalized to you, the same way that today, you can't imagine a web without social or without search. And we hope that Gravity is one of the companies that helps drive that change. Thanks.
Good afternoon. I'm John Lazarus, and I'm delighted to have a chance to tell you a little bit about Arrow. Arrow is the result of several years of work, in particular, a year of talking to smartphone users. We met with hundreds of smartphone users, interviewed thousands of more online to get a sense of how they were working with their devices, how they felt about them, and what we could do to improve the experience. And what we learned is not surprising. They were spending most of their time doing email, working with calendar, text messaging, contact applications. And we believed that using the advances in machine intelligence, natural language processing, semantic analysis, and cloud services, that we could deliver a fundamentally better experience. The Arrow system observes your communications and constructs a social graph so that it understands the relationships between you and your correspondents and between your correspondents and each other. And we put that together in a phone system that I'd like to show you. Dwight Crosser here will do the demo so I can talk as quickly as I can. If you look at the iPhone, you see the familiar icons at the bottom with the little numbers that show the number of unread messages. We have a similar set of icons on our phone. Some people think that this is a real indication of what's important. We think it's more important to see, if we can get it going there. We put a stream of the messages, contact events, calendar items, Facebook posts, unanswered phone calls right in front of you. And with a quick touch, you can see a preview of that message. And with another touch, you can open and see the email. Now, an Arrow email looks a little different. If you look at the small outlined words, you see the people, places, locations, times that are important to you. If you can get back to the email. And if we look at this email, we can touch on a location and with one step, put an item on our calendar. And we use our natural language processing to identify those items that are most important. The Arrow system is the fastest way to create an event or put someone into your contact folder. We also, if you touch on an item, you see a list of choices, and one of those choices is the Arrow search. And in less than 10 seconds, we'll bring up the most comprehensive view of the relationship between you and the person who you're searching about. So here we see people in the same organization, and with one touch, people who were in common meetings, people who were in common email threads, and we can see messages, in this case messages from Brian, messages that were sent to Brian, messages in which Brian was referenced. The idea here is that we're surfacing the information that's most important to you. There were meetings, and here are files or documents that were exchanged, and we also do a quick web search for who you're looking for. So you end up with a search that's more powerful than anything else out there. We can also add a contact, and we also have a version where today we're running on Android, and we invite you to come and join the beta by going to arrow.com. We also have the same application running on an iPhone and the same search. The work behind our application is all done in the cloud, and we are able then to deliver that information today on Android, in the near future on the iPhone, on a web client. We can deliver it anywhere. The overall goal is to improve your relationship with the device. We learn from our users that they spend a lot of time with their phones, they're trying to do more, but they're fundamentally dealing with applications that are designed for keyboards and PCs and have been crammed onto a phone. The email application on the iPhone and the BlackBerry and Android and even Windows Phone all look relatively the same. What we're doing is really the first opportunity to find a way to make your mobile life more productive. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So my name is Seth, and I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Meebo. And I have here with me Chris Zito, and Chris is the VP of Product Management in Meebo. So thank you guys very much for taking the time to have us here today. So I want to start by telling you guys a story. A few months ago, I started getting into cycling, and I was really excited about it. So I went over to Google, right, and I put in like, oh, really good cycling websites. And that wasn't a particularly good way to actually start discovering cycling. The problem was I didn't even know the lexicon I should use. And another problem is I didn't have friends who were into cycling either, right? So I had no good way to start figuring out where I could find awesome content about cycling around the net to learn more. And if you guys think about yourselves, I'll bet you all have hobbies or interests that your friends don't necessarily have. And so you look for ways to find other people with those same interests to learn more about those hobbies, to explore them. And so Meebo started thinking about, well, what can we do to solve this problem? Because we heard the same thing from our users and usability in places like Boulder and Brooklyn, but specifically not Silicon Valley. And we heard from people, hey, like, we want to know cool content around the web. We want to know where our friends are going to discover cool stuff. And we thought, okay, well, Meebo's got this social bar that's distributed all across the internet. We reach 180 million unique users monthly. We're on 8,000 websites trailing 7-day active. And we thought, well, we're connecting people with content already. How could we make the very act of browsing the web social? How could we potentially make it so that you could navigate the web by people? And so we've launched today web check-ins, which you can find at meebo.com/new. It's live right now. And so Chris and I are going to take you through a little bit of a demo of how we're enabling people to browse the web via people. So meebo.com/new, Chris is going to go ahead and log in. And you can see that Chris here has his home screen. This is a new home screen at Meebo, and it shows the activity of all the people that you're following. Now, let's go figure out this whole bicycling thing, because that's what I was really interested in. So one of the first websites I found, and by the way, one of the first websites I found is Rapha. This is a really good clothing website for cycling. Now, Chris has a new browser extension, which today is launching. It's available for Chrome, and it's available for Firefox. And so now if Chris mouses over the check-in button, you'll see a little window comes up that shows everyone who's checked in on this site recently. If he moves over to his picture there, you'll see that he also now has all of his friends from Facebook, from AOL, from Meebo, Google, whichever friends he has. They now travel the web with him. So we have made the browser social. So if Chris mouses over to the check-in button, why don't we add a comment? And we're going to go ahead and put a comment here like, we're here. Or this is cool, there you go, and check in. And so there you go. Chris is now checked into the site. But let's think about the social discovery aspect. So this other person next to Chris looks like someone's a VIP there, so let's click on his profile. So Martin, now he was a VIP at a cycling site, so he's probably a VIP on other cycling sites too. So it looks like he's a VIP on Belgium Knee Warmers, which I never would have found by myself. So let's click it. Let's see what on earth Belgium Knee Warmers is. Okay, that's that's the Meebo page for the site. Let's go over there and see what it is. So it's another site about cycling. So I just found a site by clicking on Martin's picture and then navigating over to another site that he was a VIP on. Let's see who else is here. Okay, well, let's click on that other picture on the left there, because she's checking in on a Belgium Knee Warmers, so she must know about cycling sites too. And let's see, looks like she's at like bicycling.com, a lot of check-ins. So why don't we go there? I think it's the third. There we go. And why don't we go over to bicycling.com? And so we just found another website by virtue of navigating by people. It's literally find people who are interested in the same sites you're going to because they've shown the interest by checking in, and then navigating to their profile page and discovering new cool sites. So why don't we go back over to the PowerPoint for a second? All right, so another concept with web check-ins. Let's go ahead and say we were checking on a Web 2.0 site. And this time, we became a VIP. So we are not doing a mayorship program. Rather, we're just making it really simple to become a VIP. If you check in enough times, anyone can become a VIP. And that's great for the publishers. Like I said, Meebo's on 8,000 sites. So this is designed to drive people back to sites more frequently to get them to earn VIP. And if they earn that VIP, the sites will be able to give them rewards. We're going to put out an API for the sites to give people rewards who become VIPs. That'll launch in a month or two. So check-ins are first launching in Chrome and Firefox as extensions. But in a month or two, we're going to put them out across Meebo's distribution to 180 million uniques, 80 million of which are in the United States. And so it'll end up on our partner sites, like on Justin TV. This is what the new bar will look like. Or on Entertainment Weekly, another site that has Meebo installed on it. And that's what it'll look like over there. There are a lot of settings when you check in. It can go to a Meebo.com page. It can also go to Facebook and Twitter. Of note, we're doing this open, just the way Meebo is an open social platform, so it's totally in an open way. But we're not going to send every check-in, just the ones that are interesting, like when you become a VIP or when you first discover a site. These are some new partners who are going to be part of this initial launch. Sprint, Macy's, the Fresh Air Fund, PSI, Country Music Television, and L'Oreal, all professional, all got really excited about check-ins and what it could do for their businesses. And so I encourage you all to go get it now at Meebo.com/new, and please give us feedback. Just tweet to @Meebo with the hashtag of minibar, and we'll be watching that. This is a very alpha launch for us. We're super excited about it. We've been using it in the office for a while. It's a great way to discover new content. I really encourage you all to download it, give us feedback. The last thing I'm going to talk about in my 30 seconds that I have remaining, a story came out earlier today. Meebo's very happy to announce that we're raising a Series D of funding. Khosla Ventures, Vinod Khosla, who was up here earlier today, is leading that round of funding. And so we're psyched to be working with them. Thank you all very much for having us. I appreciate it.
How's everyone doing? My name is Dave Morin. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Path. We just launched yesterday. We are trying to give people a better way to be themselves and to share the story of their life with their close friends and family. So let's talk about how we're trying to do that. We're calling what we're doing the personal network. We fundamentally believe, as some of the presenters right before me talked about, that the web in general is headed in a more personal direction. We believe that there's a need for a new type of network that puts new constraints on how we think about sharing with our closest friends and our closest family. While we were beginning building Path, we took a deep look at different research around the world, and we talked to a lot of people about what makes you happy. You know, now that we all have these mobile phones in our pockets, these miniature computers which we carry around everywhere, what do we do most with them? And we found that people do 2 or 3 things the most with their mobile phones. They make phone calls, they text message and communicate with their close friends, and they take a lot of photos. Mary Meeker talked this morning about how the mobile internet is growing faster than any other network that we've been able to build on ever before. And so we've focused entirely on that phenomenon and helping people to take the moments that they're capturing with their mobile phone and those photos that you take with your iPhone all the time and share them in more places. We talk to people and we would ask them the question, show me your iPhone and tell me about the story of your life from the photos in your phone. And people will often pull out their phone and tell you a story of the last couple of months of their life. If you ask them a second question, have you shared those photos anywhere? They usually say, no, it's too personal. And so we look at that as a massive opportunity. And we also think that context is king. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out what are the best possible pieces of context that we can put around each of the moments that we all capture and share every day. And we looked at different types of tags and different ways of adding context to the moments that we capture all the time. And we looked at some research by a fellow named Daniel Kahneman, who won the Nobel Prize in Happiness and Behavioral Economics a couple of years ago. And he talks about how all of us remember moments in our lives in 3-second increments. And so we've enabled you to add 3 simple tags to your moments of your life: people, places, and things. Today I'm giving a presentation, it's a thing, here at the Web2 Summit, and I'm with all of you. These are 3 important, very important pieces of context in how we remember the moments of our lives. So we've enabled you to quickly and easily add those pieces of context to every photo that you take. We also tried to architect a new sharing model. One of the things that we found about thinking about how sharing should work is that when we develop relationships with our closest friends, oftentimes it's based on trust. You generally have to share a lot of information with someone before you receive information in return. And so we've actually architected our network as a sharing network. And we think of it as a giving network, a network where instead of following, instead of friending, you actually just choose who you're sharing with. And back to the story from earlier before, the people who want to share photos with more people, they just want control. They want to know that they're sharing it with a certain set of people and no one else. So we've decided, based on Dunbar's research into personal network theory, that 50 is the number that we're going to start with. We're starting with this as an experiment to see if this is the number that matters most. Dunbar talks about how our personal networks expand in factors of 3. 5 people are usually your closest friends, your atomic family unit, and about 20 are your best friends. 50 people is about the outer limit of the number of people that you trust and are hanging out with in your life all the time. So we decided to start here and see if our network over time maintains higher quality than any network before it. We're now available in 1.0. We've tried to keep things incredibly simple. You can capture moments, share them with your close friends, choose the 50 people you want to share with, and we even help you see who's seen your photos in a more emotional and more deeply meaningful and intimate kind of feedback than we've ever seen anywhere else before. And so with that, rather than doing a quick demo, we made a nice video that we thought we'd show to you today about how it works. Thanks.
You're gonna find out how to cope with living on your own. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
photos in our phone are the story of our life. Let's share it more with the people who matter most. Thanks.